and you're not focused on the past or the future. You're just present in what is
Yeah.
now.
Well, I didn't really ever get into the victim state, just
I guess
because
it's
of
just
the,
me.
I guess the way my mind works. I didn't enjoy being where I was at when I was in a lot of pain when I first fractured my back, but I just thought, okay, God, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Yeah.
You already had good wisdom.
Yeah, so I look for the silver lining in the gray
That's
cloud.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I teach a lot in one of the other trainings that I was doing. When people are so stuck in the past or why things are the way they are, we tend to focus on either the person or the experience associated with that. But if we just shift our attention and focus on what was the lesson that we were there to learn, what was it here to teach me, and release the bondage of those other, that's a way that we can help support forgiveness, is then when we turn our attention in that. And as we know, like Wayne Dyer famously said, when you move, change your perception, the things you see
That's
change.
my favorite quote. I love him. Anyway, thank you for
Yeah,
the book.
thank you so much. Thank you.
That's amazing. Do you want to?
Yeah, is everybody, we don't have any more questions, correct?
Do you want this on or?
I don't care either way.
Okay, we'll leave it off.
So I will be speaking next week at the IANS conference in Washington, D.C., which is International Study for Near-Death, Association for Near-Death Studies. And so if you don't mind, I'm just going to stand up and just do that. It's just a little 10-minute thing, and then I'll be on a speaking panel. I'll just move this chair out of the way. In 2004, I was 11 weeks pregnant and holding our 1-year-old in my arms when 6 U.S. Marshals entered our business, handcuffing and shackling my husband in front of me. You see, my husband was a medical doctor who practiced alternative medicine, but unfortunately was a threat to the traditional medical paradigm. My husband served 5 months in prison for a crime he did not commit and arrived home weeks before our baby was due. Well, I was very, very grateful to have my husband home and felt very blessed. I lived every moment in a high level of PTSD that it would happen again. By 2012, my mind and body's maladaptive stress response was my new normal. And I also knew that I was breaking down. In our continued search for healing, we went on a journey to Peru to participate in a sacred journey of ayahuasca. I sat on a mat on Monkey Island, 4,000 miles away from home, and I prayed to God for 2 things. 1, to heal the trauma in my body, and 2, to help me to learn to love myself. Because I, like many of you, was raised in a family where my value was in the deeds that I accomplished rather than as a baseline for my being. I got really sick in the ayahuasca experience, and I didn't fully recover. I arrived home exhausted and chronically nauseous. I was broken down, and I continued to break down more. Later that year, in December, I was in bed alone when my room all of a sudden turned to a soft, warm glow, and I felt a gentle pulling sensation from my core, and suddenly I was standing at the foot of my bed, staring at the frail body in front of me. I could see that my hair was disheveled due to the restlessness, and my face was still contorted due to the immense level of pain. I had immediate compassion for this body, and as I was staring at my body, I suddenly heard my husband laughing down the hall, and immediately was transported to our living room, where my husband was watching The Simpsons with my children. Now, I had an enormous amount of love for my children, and admittingly, I was very annoyed that he was watching adult humor with our young children. But I also knew they were completely unaware that I was there. Instantly, we were all transported to this very long pathway. My husband and children were at the top of the pathway, and in my state of confusion, not knowing why I was here, I turned my attention to my husband as I watched tears stream down his face. I heard him say, "I love you, babe. I will be okay." I didn't know what he was going to be okay with, and in my confusion, I kept turning to each of my children and looking to see if they had answers too. And each one of them also, clearly in a level of distress, also said that they would be okay without me. Until I saw my youngest, Sophie. She was sat in her father's arms and clung tightly to his chest. I could see that the pain of losing her mother was too much for her to bear. I wanted to tell her that I'm not going anywhere, but there was a force bigger than me that was drawing me further away from my family and into the unknown. Further along the path were my parents and my siblings. Behind them was friends and extended family. It was as though every person who would be impacted by me dying was there to tell me that they would be okay without me. No one pleaded with me to stay or told me that I would be missed. I just heard the same statement from each person: I will be okay, as I was drawn further away from those that I loved. Before me was a large, dark building with sharp spires on the roof, a very dilapidated yard, and ravens were perched on the roof staring down at me as I approached. Now, it reminded me very much of a classic haunted mansion scenario that you would see in a movie, and although I avoid everything scary, I wasn't frightened in any way. As I approached this area and went through the entrance of the gate, everything transformed. The dark, sharp, and frightening space rounded and became a beautiful blooming light. The ravens transformed into white doves. The yard turned into a vibrant green and lush and alive. I could feel love emanating from the building itself. I stepped through the threshold of the building, and I was met by 3 beautiful luminescent beings. They told me that my body, that there were many layers to the physical experience. They also told me that I was in transition due to immense trauma from illness, and that the pathway was my soul's representation of going home. I was also shown all the loved ones to show the representation of those that would be impacted by me dying. Nobody told me that they were going to miss me because their consciousness was not prepared for me to pass. At that time, my physical body dropped from me, and I saw the form of my body land on the floor, much like a crumpled up outfit on the floor, with no structure or form. Looking down, I looked exactly like the 3 of them. At that time, 3 more beings entered. 2 of them picked up my discarded shell of the body, and 1 entered carrying a bowl of crystal water with a crystal sponge. They began bathing that level of my body and telling me that they were doing so to assist in the healing. As they continued that work, the other 3 moved me to an area where there was 3 beautiful, large, golden statues covered in precious gems. Beyond the statues was a darkened passageway, and I was told that I was not to go any further beyond this level, because if I entered that passageway, I would not return to my family. As we saw these 3 statues, I was told that I was being given 3 gifts, and the first one was the gift of sight. Now, rather than being shown my life review that many people receive in a past life or in a near-death experience, I was shown how my family was going to live without me. I was shown how my husband isolated himself from family and lost himself in grief. I was shown how my oldest daughter would move home to raise her younger sisters, and I was shown how my children were going to struggle not having a mother to raise them. They all had very challenging experiences before them, but they, like many others, ended up actually being okay, until I saw my youngest, Sophie. They told me that she would be stuck in the trauma and would not progress. And they told me that she had a very important mission on this planet, and although they did not tell me what that mission was, that her purpose was important, and that I was going to be an integral part of that purpose. And hearing that information and seeing the trauma of my young child, I turned to them and I said, I have to go back. Sophie needs me. Instantly, I was returned to a physical body of unimaginable pain. I began my healing journey, and I prayed to God for me to heal. Later that evening, my husband brought the children in for our nightly prayer. I was too weak to scarcely even respond as he lifted my hand and prayed for my healing and prayed for comfort for our family. He finished his prayer, and my young daughter Sophie leaned in. I could feel the warmth of her face against mine, and she whispered in my ear, "I need you, Mommy." I wanted to say, "I know, baby. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to heal." And I strengthened those unsaid prayers as I watched my daughter in the pain and felt the pool of tears stream down and landing in my ears. Now, my healing journey was not an easy one. I spent an additional 8 months in bed, and I was violently reactive to many foods. I was very sick for a very long time, but I had a strong determination to heal. And on that note, I have 3 things that I want to leave all of you with. 1, all life has value, and it doesn't take dying to figure that out. You have value because you exist. 2, healing is not a passive experience. Healing is a conscious decision to embrace your fears and your shadows. But if you choose to engage the challenge before you, you will discover that healing is your greatest discovery of your strengths and your powers. And 3, the greatest gift that we can give ourselves and others is love, because love is the ultimate healer. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
How exciting, how fun for you. Are you so nervous? Are you nervous?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I need to polish
Is this
that
your
up.
first time? Speaking in
At that event.
yeah.
I've spoken at other events, but yeah.
That's a pretty high level.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
did
this
really
one's kind
great.
of a big
Yeah,
deal.
let's all gather and do a blessing.
Thank you.
That's what I
And so,
Just everybody hold their hand, their left hand, do your thumb out, and your other hand. Okay, so, in the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, and by virtue of the great divine director who commanded us to bless each other as humans and help each other become who we're supposed to become, we ask that we bless each and every one of you, that your bodies will be strong and healthy. We bless you, your glands, organs, your systems will heal. We bless you that you'll be able to go out and bless your families and help them to heal. We bless you that you'll be filled with the Spirit of God and the love of God, and that love will enter into your heart, your mind, and your spirit. So you fulfill the first commandment of loving the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and spirit. We bless you by doing this, that you'll bring love into your own heart, mind, and spirit, and that with this you'll be able to love your neighbor as yourself. We bless you that you'll be filled with that love of God and go out, and this is how we will accomplish what we're to do to make the world a heaven on earth. We bless you with these things in the name of the Holy Spirit of the Almighty I am that I am that created the universe. And we bless you this in the name of Jesus the Christ and all the other ascended beings of light and love. So be it, so it is.
So it is, thank you.
Thank you for coming, and thank you, Vicki. I'm so lucky to be married to this beautiful human being, and I've learned a lot from her. So it's been very good. Woo!
And that first chapter should come with a tissue warning. Thank you. And would you thank you?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, you said mine too.
Oh, we're all gonna, but sometimes we'll come
I
back.
came to mind when she was saying, stuff coming out.
Oh, that's actually another part. Yeah, right next door. God bless you. God bless you. Remind me your name.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming today. Are you living here?
I've just moved back here.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
not back, but 2 years.
Well, good.
From Idaho, almost done with those
I
winters.
just have to find where
It
Yeah.
was like,
The summer's
what are you
here
looking
bad,
for?
July was a little hard,
but September through May is really nice.
Yes. It's all work in July.
Well, nice to see you again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Video cases, emails.
Oh, this is right, you just, oh, is this yours?
Unable to do anything and.
Here you are, good, good for you.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Very wonderful.
Good.
It's always worth going through it. When you come out of it, when you get better. Go through it, it doesn't feel worth it.
Oh, yeah.
You know about that.
Oh, yeah.
And, I know you're.
So thank you for being here and your contribution to the group.
Yeah. Everything you've done.
Yes, you're welcome. How are you?
I'm doing better, I get better every day.
Good. How's your hubby?
I would love that. I would love that. I
Depends
have
on the
a lot
day,
of-
he's over Penn Station,
year.
enjoying it, side more.
Is he able to
Since I'm
walk?
healing too. Yeah, he's,
Has an understanding.
but he's got, I think the EMT's.
Yeah.
And get him
Like
outside.
today,
Yeah, you could just cut sections.
Good.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a, but he doesn't.
Did you get your things?
My first selection.
Helmet's good, first one.
Yeah, I'm like, here, take this.
What
I've been giving him, making him a drink
Yes.
every morning. And
Hey,
he'll-
the whole time, so I was gonna go. This is my perfect way, right?
There you go,
right? I learned how to knit.
Cut the bitterness.
Did you wanna get
A little bit of sour.
Yes.
And that is helping with insulin.
Oh.
Good.
So he hasn't gotten.
Do you take the berberine at all?
I'm not, he doesn't want to take any more. So I tried him, but
Oh, berberine's great.
it's great, but,
Powder inside
it's
the
just,
powder.
it's him. I've tried, I believe me, I probably, if it's there, I probably tried it. Yeah, I even encapsulated my own cinnamon for a long time.
Good to see you, glad you made it today.
Hey, I'm tired. So I can ask you about
Yeah, I'm almost ready to send part of my book.
Thank you for coming. Pleasure having you here at our office. This is our herb store where we do lots of good stuff here.
It is, because I put on children.
Ah, good. This year,
I had to get both of us have brothers now, he and my husband, because before I was his brother.
Okay.
But then,
well,
you know, I couldn't, yeah,
try to
yeah,
do a
yeah.
good presentation once a week here.
Yeah, so like
Magical to flu.
everything went on.
Anything was in
I
that.
wasn't in bed.
Okay, watch the cord.
Are you in need of anything?
No, I don't, I can't remember why she told me that I needed to identify the sites in about this.
There you go.
I take it with,
Oh, the cayenne, yeah, this keeps your circulation going.
oh, am I taking enough? Is that?
One, twice a day with food is good.
Twice a day?
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
sitting there.
keeps your
Older file.
vascular system just moving.
And that's what's
You know,
going on.
burn out any,
Yesterday, I
you
cleaned
know,
up.
the plaques and crap that, you know, the doctors do open heart surgery for.
Yeah.
And I learned about it clear back in 1996.
I can remember when I had met you. Yes.
So what you can take, not really guilt, but I felt bad.
St. Germain taught me about it.
But the spray, you can just,
It was interesting, this guy came in,
As you're
he was having a heart attack.
Gave out